Hey everyone, Anthony here. It's 10:30 in the morning right now. I got out of bed at 9 o'clock. I don't know why I'm just complaining about all this stuff, but I had all this stuff on my mind to make this video, and I got up, I brushed my teeth. I was like, all right, I can just get downstairs and make this video. And because now that I have a house, I can do that. I don't, and whatever. I can just get up and make a video. I don't need to do all this other stuff that I used to beforehand. And then I hop on my laptop, I look at my validators, they're all screwy. And then I have the post office informed delivery. So it tells me what mail comes to my house before it comes. And I see 2 letters from my HOA. And I know I talked about this with you guys before, but it's just like, they want me to cut my grass once a week, and it's perfectly fine cutting it every 2 to 3 weeks. I'm fine cutting it every 3 weeks, and then I did it every 2 weeks because, well, I don't want to get into this complicated thing, but every time I see a letter from my HOA, it just feels like you have, like you're trying to break up from a girl or break up from a boy, but they keep contacting you, and you're like, I don't want to be contacted, and it just fucks with your head and gets in your mind like leave me the hell alone. And every time you see it, it's just like this sinking feeling every time you see like a letter from them or them contact you. With the HOA, it's just like they open up like, oh, we just want to here's a list of things that's wrong with your house. Keep in mind, I don't know why I'm putting it in this video, but I moved in here 3 months ago and talked to the HOA. And they're like, yeah, everything on the house is fine. Like, it doesn't need any repairs or anything like that. And then they got a new management company. I'm going into way too much, but because I know you guys aren't here for this, but they got a new management company, and now the new management company wants me to do all this stuff in my house. But they open up like, oh, we just want to make contact and touch base and start a dialogue. And then I tell them they want me to put my garbage can in the backyard, or they don't want my garbage can in the front of the house. It has to be behind my fence or in the garage or somewhere hidden. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to ruin my grass on the backyard by having that sitting on my grass. And I don't want to put it in my garage because my garage smells. And now they want me to build an enclosure outside of my house like fucking McDonald's does for their garbage can. It's my garbage can. My garbage can is not offensive. I want to just decorate my garbage can with big eyes and lips and say that my garbage can isn't offensive. It's the HOA mascot now, and that it's here to increase property values and scare off criminals and teach your kids not to do drugs and all that stuff. But yeah, what I was saying is, it's not like the HOA. It's like a trap. Whenever they talk to you, it's like, oh, we just want to open a dialogue and whatever and work this out. But then when you tell them stuff, they're like, oh no, we're not listening to you. You have to do everything we say. And it's like, that's not a dialogue at all. It's like you just not listening to me and forcing me to do whatever the hell, or else you're going to fine me and put a lien on my house and all this stuff. And it's like, if you keep talking about, oh, we want to raise property values, we have who the fuck, I don't care about property values. No one is going to sell their house, and houses shouldn't be investments anyway. But they're like, oh, we want to raise property values, we need to protect the property values, so you have to mow your lawn every day and all this. Not every day, every 7 days or whatever, which it's not even in our laws to mow our lawn every 7 days. But all it says is I don't remember what it says, but I'm sure it's just neat and tidy, and that's a subjective thing. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, the HOA has little to no say in what my house is worth. The overall market landscape dictates that, who wants to move to this town and what the school districts are like and the crime and everything like that in the whole town, not just the HOA. And then the Fed manipulating or changing bank interest or interest rates and inflation rates and all that stuff. Pandemics that occur seemingly out of the blue, and and bad governments that make people want to move and relocate and all that stuff. That's the stuff that affects property values. Like the only thing, like if the HOA really wants to make the argument that they're protecting property values or increasing property values, then like we can't do like a whole broad landscape or whatever. That's probably not the best way to word it, but like the only like objective way to judge that if me mowing my lawn increases my property value would be comparing the rate my house raises compared to houses outside of the HOA to see if the HOA is really doing what it says. And then is me spending instead of $60 every 3 weeks having someone mow my lawn, $180 every 3 weeks, by the time I sell my house, is my house going to be worth that accumulative extra $120 every 3 weeks? Or if it's not, will the HOA reimburse me that money? Which, yeah, I doubt. But all right, let's get into this BlockFi thing. I put a shirt on for you guys too. I know I don't really like being professional at all, but some people want me to be professional, so we'll do that. So BlockFi and Coinbase, that's what this is about. So Coinbase now is the SEC is going after Coinbase. So let me bring up this article. I'm glad I stopped reading CoinDesk like years ago because of all these like agenda quota articles that they used to write. Because I went to search for this article, I looked up the CoinDesk one, and it's just like 10 lines of just like random nonsense ones. This Cointelegraph article is the initial one that I read that actually provides a lot more information. It starts out title, SEC threatens to sue Coinbase over crypto yield program it considers a security. So we already saw like BlockFi has been going through this. There's 4 states that BlockFi has been getting in trouble with, or whatever, not getting in trouble with, but what's interesting about this is this shows Coinbase is bringing a lot more stuff to light that we can extrapolate from what Coinbase is saying and say like, oh, I'm sure BlockFi is dealing with the same exact thing, even though BlockFi hasn't said anything at all. And so also this tells me that BlockFi isn't as strong as Coinbase is, because BlockFi isn't talking about this, isn't making any of this stuff public. So usually when that's happening, when someone is silent in public, is that they're trying to protect themselves because they're afraid of retaliation if they go public with the stuff that happens. So obviously Coinbase isn't afraid of going public speaking about all this stuff. So it says they refuse to tell us why they think it's a security and instead subpoena a bunch of records from us, said Brian Armstrong after he revealed that the SEC threatened to sue Coinbase. So that tells us a lot about, because I always wondered why BlockFi would always say like, oh, we're in communications with the SEC. We don't believe that our lending program is a security. And I'm like, well, I need to change this battery. I'm like, well, why don't you tell us? Why don't you give us their arguments and you give us your arguments? So this way, as customers or clients, we can make up our own minds to see how this is going to turn out. I don't know why I didn't think about this beforehand. Another instance where I recorded a clip and didn't record the clip. But so this is exactly how the government works, is they'll press charges against you, accuse you of things, and you won't even know what the hell is going on. So this is what happened with me with my filing false statements to purchase a gun thing, is I just got charged. I just got charged, had a court date, got charged and had a court date all at the same time before anyone even talked to me to figure out what the story was or anything like that, to figure out if I actually lied or anything like that. They didn't tell me what I lied about on the form, what question I lied about or anything. They they didn't write any probable cause on the affidavit of probable cause, all this stuff that they do or that they don't do. And I think it's just specifically designed to leave you in the dark, so you can't build a defense because you don't know what you did wrong, what their arguments are, what their accusations are, or anything like that. And what ends up happening is things get pushed further along in the court process, and you're subject to all these legal fees and having all this stuff on your mind and everything like that, because they don't just tell you everything right up front and listen to reason and evidence and arguments and all that stuff. So it continues. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission had reportedly threatened to sue Coinbase over a crypto yield program it deems as a security. So already the SEC is starting out with the threats and the consequences and intimidation, all that stuff, which to me, whenever that happens, it's like, well, the only reason you're threatening and intimidating is because you don't have a leg to stand on. So you have to bully people to get your way. You have to bully people to force them to comply because you don't have a leg to stand on in court. That's the way that I see this. And that's the way that I live my life too. Like, I'll make arguments. I'm not going to bully someone and all that stuff. So Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong tweeted on Wednesday that there has been some really sketchy behavior coming out of the SEC recently. Yeah, I'm sure it's similar stuff that I dealt with Scranton, Pennsylvania's government and police there. And it's crazy too, like the same government that argues like, oh, don't threaten me, don't whatever, then they go and do the exact same thing and ends up being hypocrites and all that. Before launching into a 21-post thread detailing the SEC's dealings with the firm, Armstrong explained that the crypto exchange approached the SEC earlier this year to brief the enforcement body over its up-and-coming Coinbase Lend program that intends to offer 4% annual yield returns on deposits of the USDC stablecoin. It just reminds me so much of my gun case, because I approached like a detective and the Scranton police asking them all these questions to make sure that I could legally purchase a gun. I approached a lawyer and all that stuff. Of course, the detective that ended up charging me didn't know any of this stuff beforehand and didn't do an investigation beforehand and wants to argue that not doing enough due diligence justifies a lie or means that you did a lie, means that you lied or whatever. A little bit off topic, but like you go and you intend to act in good faith and start a dialogue and make sure that everyone's on the same page, and then they just end up twisting everything around and using it against you. It's like sometimes it's better just not to talk to people and just go about and do your own thing, because all this time that you're spending trying to convince people of what you're doing, you can just be doing it. This whole permissionless DeFi, permissionless blockchain stuff, because you don't have to ask permission. You can just go and do whatever. So Armstrong explained that the crypto exchange approached the SEC earlier this year to brief the enforcement body. All right, I read that. According to Coinbase CEO, the SEC responded by telling the firm that the lending program is a security without an explanation and threatened to sue if the service was launched. Well, then that's interesting. So the way that this reads to me is that Coinbase went to the SEC and explained them what they were doing before launch so that they were on the same page. The SEC was like, no, this is a security, you can't launch or else we're going to sue. And then Coinbase launched it anyway. So it goes on, I guess this is Brian saying this. They refuse to tell us why they think it's a security and instead subpoena a bunch of records from us, in quotations, we comply, demand testimony from our employees, we comply. And then they tell us they will be suing us if we proceed to launch with zero explanation as to why. So that's an interesting thing, we comply, because there was a whole thing. One of the things that gained Coinbase's trust many years ago, consumer trust in Coinbase, was that the government was subpoenaing all these records about Coinbase clients and customers and all this, and Coinbase refused to comply with that. And now Coinbase is complying with everything. So it's got to be like, now it makes me think Coinbase isn't as trustworthy with not giving up your records and all this stuff. I'm not like, this doesn't say that Coinbase is giving up customer records or whatever. It just says a bunch of records and testimony from employees. But it does show you that now Coinbase is complying with the government. So I have to question, if they're complying with this, how much more willing are they to comply with the government? Especially now, since Brian has such a huge business, are they going to be more willing to comply with the government? I don't know. It seems like with this, though, Brian is fighting back, but he's also, like I said, giving up all these records, which to me, it just seems like, I don't know what it is with businesses, but suing someone in order to get records. All right. Again, this is going back to, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but this is just my thoughts. Like, and this might not even be related to this Coinbase stuff at all, but with me being charged for filing false statements, I don't want to send in all this evidence, send in my bank statements, send in my lawyer's name, who I talked to make sure that I was doing everything correctly and all that. I don't want to send in all this evidence and all my contacts and all this stuff, because I feel like that's a violation of not due process, of unreasonable search and seizure. Like, they're gonna file these charges against me, not have any probable cause, not have any evidence or anything, and then I have to send in this entire defense, giving up people's names and everything like that, and then they just go and harass those people. Anyway, Armstrong pointed out that there were other crypto firms on the market that currently provide similar lending services to their customers, and called for the SEC to provide regulatory clarity on the topic. The SEC's actions, if Armstrong has reported them accurately, appear to be bad news for the competitors BlockFi and Celsius, which already offer crypto yield products. BlockFi is facing investigations in a number of states over its high interest products. I was about to say highly interesting products. So then it just says I'm going to put like all the images up here in this video, because I always have this problem. I just had this problem on Reddit the other day, because I have previous EIP 1559 videos where I put the images and then they went and changed everything. And I'm like, I have these images in my video from 2 years ago. So Brian continues, look, we're committed to following the law. Sometimes the law is unclear. So if the SEC wants to publish guidance, we are also happy to follow that. It's nice if you actually enforce it evenly across the industry, equally, by the way. In a blog post published on Wednesday, Paul Grenwald, chief legal officer of Coinbase, expressed its dismay in the SEC's actions as it questioned the assertion the lending feature can be deemed as an investment contract or a note. Customers won't be investing in the program, but rather lending the USDC they hold on Coinbase's platform in connection with their existing relationship. And although lend customers will earn interest from their participation in the program, we have an obligation to pay the interest regardless of Coinbase's broader business activities, he said. So this statement gives me a really clear idea, because, well, this gives me an idea of maybe what the SEC's arguments are and why they think that these lending products are a security. Now, I don't know what a security is. There seems to be a lot of gray area on what a security is and everything like that. Like, I'm familiar with the Howey test as far as like I've heard of it, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm confused about on what is a security and what isn't a security. But it seems like now we have an idea or an answer into what the SEC might be saying. Their argument is that this is a security. So customers won't be investing in a program. So it seems like a security might be like a program that you invest in. So say like with Ripple, them saying like Ripple is a security, like you're petitioning people to invest in something for returns back. That might be a security. So maybe that's their argument, that you're asking people to give money in exchange for an interest rate, but that's just like a bank savings account or whatever. Like that's the same way that a bank savings account works. Is a bank savings account a security? A bank savings account would be a program that you're participating in and earning rewards on, interest on. So you are investing in a savings account. So I don't know. That just seems to me like that would be their argument, or that's the first clue into we get what the SEC's argument might be. Now this is just like the Coinbase chief legal officer saying this. So Ryan Selkist, I don't know who he is, but he says the SEC isn't protecting investors or promoting fair, efficient, and safe domestic crypto markets with their intimidation tactics. Their approach has been so poor it's indistinguishable from an active effort to hurt American retail investors, which looks increasingly likely. And I don't know, is one thing with Donald Trump, he really talks about this with being against cryptocurrency, and that's because the United States dollar makes the country strong because they can enforce sanctions and use the dollar as leverage against other companies to kind of intimidate or force or give consequences to other countries not acting a certain way, whether that way be moral or just in the best interest of America. It depends, but the United States dollar does give the United States leverage, and there are good things that come out of having the United States dollar. There's a lot of bad things too with manipulation and all that, but there are good things as well. And that's the point that Donald Trump makes, is like he doesn't want the country to lose power. Donald Trump is just like an American and loves America and all that, and doesn't want America to lose its power. And that's why Donald Trump doesn't like cryptocurrency. But Grenwall went on to explain that the only clarification the firm has provided is that the lending program is currently being assessed under the Howey test. They told us that they have only told us that they are assessing our lend product through the prism of decades-old Supreme Court cases called Howey and Reeves. The SEC won't share the assessment, only the fact that they have done it. Only the fact that they have done it, which is like a whole other thing. Is that, so it says the lending program is currently being assessed under the Howey test. They've told us that they are assessing the lend program, but then this last sentence says the SEC won't share the assessment itself, only the fact that they have done it. So what I was saying is like, well, they're threatening to sue Coinbase if they launch this lend program and if they continue to run this lend program. But did they or did they not perform the Howey test already and determine that it's a security? Or did they just threaten to sue and all that before actually having a case and an argument, or knowing if the SEC is right or wrong? Like, is that really fair? That's just a waste of the court's time, for one thing, to just throw a lawsuit out there without performing a test or knowing if you're right or wrong. Eric Voorhees says, what the fuck? SEC boss Gary Gensler has regularly urged crypto firms to work with the SEC so that they can operate under public frameworks and ensure their survival. And then this whole SEC thing, we don't even know if Gary Gensler, if the SEC has control of some of these things, has oversight over some of these things, because the like head guy, I forget his name, but from the CFTC came out saying like, no, the SEC doesn't have oversight. We actually have oversight. So it seems like there's still confusion on even if the SEC does have oversight and regulatory power over some of this stuff. Gary Gensler has regularly urged crypto firms to work with the SEC so that they can operate under public frameworks and ensure their survival. Grenwall said the SEC's actions appear to contradict Gensler's statements. So that's another thing. Like if there are public frameworks and everything, well, then that means that we as people can just go and do our own interpretations of these public frameworks and rules and laws and everything. And then we can argue our side in court when it comes up. We don't need to ask for permission and ask for the SEC's own interpretation of the laws, because obviously if you're doing something not in the SEC's best interest, well, then they're going to say no and not give you permission, even though it's you are following the laws and everything, which is another thing that I had a huge problem with the Scranton police. So the SEC has repeatedly asked our industry to talk to us, come in. We did that here, but today all we know is that they can either keep lend off the market indefinitely without knowing why, or we can be sued. I think that's like another like manipulation or another like unfair tactic is like, it's probably like another trap, just like I was saying with my HOA there. They're like probing you for your arguments beforehand. Like if they encourage you to come in and talk about everything, well, now they're going to know all your arguments beforehand because they're like, oh, we're this open company. You can come in and talk to us and everything like that. And then when you do, well, now they know your entire side, and now they can formulate a attack against you because they know everything from you. A healthy regulatory relationship should never leave the industry in that kind of bind without explanation. Dialogue is at the heart of good regulation, he said. Grenwall stated that the firm will be holding off the launch of the lending program until at least October, while it waits for further feedback from the SEC. Well, that tells me that, well, Coinbase sees enough to where they're holding off on this program. Meanwhile, BlockFi has already launched this program like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So BlockFi seems like it would be in more hot water than Coinbase is and have more to fight. So we're going to get into, I wanted to talk about BlockFi and Coinbase together. Just let me read this last one. So the crypto dog says, unclear what impact SEC news will have in the immediate. This wasn't common knowledge, and along with the dump, this caught me off guard. General sense of uneasiness didn't make me feel good, but I'm going to let the big boys settle the market, just watching now. So just like a useless comment. So now we have Coinbase. Now we have BlockFi and Coinbase both in trouble or on the defensive in the same stuff with the SEC, with the government. So what I was thinking, if BlockFi and Coinbase can join together and fight this thing on their own, or fight this thing together, they would be a lot more powerful if they did fight this together. But on the other hand, that Coinbase can also capture a huge amount if Coinbase just like sits back and lets BlockFi deal with this on their own, or doesn't help BlockFi, well, then BlockFi can absorb all the regulatory, can absorb the entire lawsuit. Let me think how I want to put this. Maybe I'm still not going to put it right, but BlockFi is kind of at the bigger disadvantage here. They're not as strong to compete against the government because they have less income coming in to fight the government. Like Coinbase has the exchange. Coinbase has been around a long time, making money off of fees and all that stuff, and making money off of staking and all that. Which is like another thing. Like if the classification is a program that you're investing in is considered a security, well, then staking on Coinbase would also be a security because that's a program that you're investing in and getting paid interest on or getting paid dividends on or whatever. So I don't think that just a program you're investing in classifies something as a security. But again, like I said, I don't know. But I think Coinbase's move here would be to not help BlockFi, because then BlockFi will have to expend more of their resources, more of a percentage of their resources, and possibly go out of business fighting to keep this afloat. Like BlockFi has more incentive to fight this, because that's BlockFi's bigger business model is these BlockFi interest accounts. If Coinbase doesn't team up and help BlockFi and share resources and share fighting with this, and BlockFi has to do it all on their own, BlockFi will run out of resources and dissolve as a company, and then Coinbase can, I guess, if this is declared legal or whatever, Coinbase can jump in and take all of BlockFi's market share from that with the BlockFi interest account product, with this lending product. That was just the last thought that I had. So I don't know. I see like a lot of companies work together because they're stronger together and everything like that. Like one thing that I think about on YouTube, like Braille Skateboarding and Revive Skateboarding, they're both YouTube channels, skateboarding YouTube channels. They both run warehouses and do all that and sell merch and all that. But they team up and they work together, and that benefited both as a whole. So it depends like how Coinbase wants to take it. I think there is an opportunity here for Coinbase to capture BlockFi's market share and BlockFi to go out of business because of this lawsuit. All right, that's it. Subscribe, give me your money, give me your views, give me everything I did need from you. Take care, guys. Thank you and goodbye.